You know the feeling. You're scrolling, you see the headline, and that little spark of hope flares up. You think, this is it. This time it's real. For over a decade now, the Bloodborne PC port has been the ghost story we PC gamers tell around the digital campfire. It's a never-ending cycle of rumors, insider leaks, and blurry screenshots. And it's always followed by, well, silence. But after all this time, we have to ask the hard question. What if it's never going to happen? Today we're looking past the hope and into the grim, complex reality of why a PC port for Bloodborne might be exactly what so many people have called it, a pipe dream. The reasons are a lot more complicated than you might think. The first, and maybe the biggest hurdle, is something of a legend in development circles: the state of Bloodborne's code. Now, neither Sony nor FromSoftware has ever gone on the record about this, but there's a lot of smoke suggesting there's a fire. The game is widely believed to be a sort of technical maze, one that's stubbornly tangled up with its original PlayStation 4 hardware. The theory goes that FromSoftware's engine back then was a little bit quirky. It's thought that key systems, everything from the physics to enemy AI, might be tied directly to the game's original 30 frames per second performance. We've seen hints of this from incredible work of modders like Lance McDonald. He managed to get a 60 FPS patch running on a modified PS4, which was a huge achievement. But at the same time, it exposed some engine oddity, like how the patch could cause game logic to speed up, changing enemy attack timings. This suggests that a proper, stable PC port would need more than just the flipping of a switch to unlock the frame rate. It might demand some serious foundational work on the game's core. On top of that technical challenge, you have to consider the human element. FromSoftware was a lead developer, but Sony's own Japan studio was a crucial co-developer. That studio, a legendary part of PlayStation history, has restructured back in 2021, and many of the talented producers and staff who worked on Bloodborne have since moved on. It's not that their knowledge is irreplaceable, but the specific team that helped build Yharnam is gone. I'm pretty sure that alone would add another layer of difficulty and cost to any potential porting project. Okay, so even if the technical hurdles aren't impossible, you have to look at this from Sony's point of view. For a while, PlayStation was on a roll. They brought huge single-player hits like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. But the strategy for PC releases is always evolving. For years, the argument from fans was simple. A Bloodborne port is free money. But is it really that simple for Sony? The whole point of a big, shiny console exclusive is to sell consoles. These games are the crown jewels, the number one reason a person chooses a PlayStation over another box. The question for Sony isn't just, can we make money on a PC port? It's, how much value do we lose from our brand if our biggest exclusives aren't really exclusive anymore? So where does an 11-year-old code classic fit into that equation? Bloodborne isn't just another game in the back catalog, it's a symbol of PlayStation's prestige. The risk of releasing a subpar port that could tarnish the legacy is massive. Just think about it. The backlash to a buggy Bloodborne launch would be catastrophic, precisely because it's held in such a high regard. When you're trying to convince people that your platform is the place to be, the business case for a risky, expensive port for an older title starts to look a little shaky. So this brings us to the next big question. From a business standpoint, why would Sony invest millions into a difficult port of an old game when they could pour that money into a full-blown, ground-up remake? A Bloodborne remake built from scratch for the PlayStation 6 would be a monumental event in gaming. It would be a true system seller, justifying a massive budget and marketing campaign. That remake could then be ported to PC a year or two later following the model that they've used. And this isn't just fan fiction. The rumor mill has been churning for years about a potential remake, and it's often with Bluepoint Games, the wizards behind the Demon's Souls remake. There has even been unconfirmed scuttlebutt that Bluepoint pitched the Bloodborne remake that Sony was interested in, but that FromSoftware wasn't on board. Again, these are just rumors, but they point to where the conversation inside Sony is likely happening. The question isn't just if they should just bring it back, but how they're gonna get the absolute maximum value out of one of their most beloved properties. You also can't talk about a new Bloodborne without talking about Hidetaka Miyazaki. The game is deeply personal to him. He has said in interviews that it's a title that holds a special place for him and is one of the strongest reflections of his personal style. While Sony owns the IP, the idea of a remake or even a port being handled without a full blessing of its original creator, it's a huge creative and PR risk. That adds a whole other layer of complexity that a straightforward port of another game would just not have. Over the years, the community has come up with plenty of seemingly simple solutions. But when you look a little closer, they all have their own problems. First, there's a classic, why not just get another studio to do it? Given the technical quirks that we've talked about, this would be a massive undertaking. Finding a studio that Sony, the fans, and maybe even FromSoftware would trust with such a revered and technically fragile project, it's a tall order. The risk of getting it wrong is just too high. Then, there's emulation. The progress the fan community has made here is genuinely incredible. Emulation projects are making stunning leaps, proving that the game can run on PC hardware. It's a testament to the community's passion. However, getting a game to boot up in an experimental emulator is a world away from a commercial product. An official port needs to be stable on thousands of different PC configurations, pass intense QA, integrate with storefronts, and be fully supported after launch. While the progress in emulation is exciting, it doesn't solve the fundamental business and technical problems for Sony. But hey, this is a story that's still being written, mostly by the fans who just refuse to let the dream die. And that's where I want to hear from you. What do you think is the single biggest reason holding back a Bloodborne PC port? Is it the code, Sony's strategy? Or are you just holding out hope that all this silence is just paving the way for a full remake? Let me know down in the comments. In the end, the Hunter's Dream is a fitting metaphor for this whole situation. It's a place of hope, but it's also a prison you can't seem to escape. For PC players, the streets of Yharnam remain just out of reach. The game's own creator has said that he would love for more players to experience it, but he's also admitted it's simply not his call to make. When you put it all together, the rumored technical debt of the code, the immense pressure to deliver nothing less than perfection, and the complex business strategy of console exclusivity, the path forward looks kind of grim. It seems far more likely that Sony will either keep Bloodborne as a timeless PlayStation icon, or one day invest in a full-scale remake for a future console. The passion of this community is proof of the game's power, but the formidable hurdles suggest that for the foreseeable future, a Bloodborne PC port is likely to remain just what we called it at the start, a pipe dream. We can all hope to one day awaken from this long dream, but we shouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves right back where we started, waiting for a hunt that may never begin on PC. Well, that's gonna do it for me. This has been Louis Bean TV. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little bit of your day with me. And remember, don't believe every Bloodborne PC rumor that you see on the internet. I'll see you wacky fellas in the next video.